Okay, here we have a 2010 Toyota Rav 4, and we're going to do the front wheel bearing. So I've taken the tire off. There's the tire. So there's two 14 mil bolts for the caliper. You can see, so we're going to undo those. I've actually loosened everything up to make it easy, so we're going to undo the bolts just like this. There's one, I've already taken out the bottom bolt. There's two, top and bottom. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull the caliper off just like so. We're going to tuck it here. We don't want it hanging, so what we can do is we can just put it, see how I rested it on the suspension there, so this way there's not a lot of tension on there. Now we have the pads here, so it's easy enough. You just pull up both pads just like so. Two 17 mil bolts there, you can actually see there. I've loosened them up again. They hold the whole caliper bracket on. So we're just gonna loosen those out, take them out. With my hand, I've already done them with the gun. There we go. So they look just like that, 17 mil. I'm gonna pull that off. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the rotor off, just like so. Put it down there. We're gonna put a new rotor on anyway. And then here is our bearing. You can see there is two bolts. See if I can get in the light there. Yeah, there's one, two, and there's two more on the underside. And in the center, we have this nut here. And you can see I've pulled up the piece of steel there because you got to stake it in once it's tight, once it's torqued. So we have a special socket for that. And that is a 30 mil socket. It's just, where's your 30 millimeter? So I'll go right on there like that. We can take that off with our impact gun. And then we go on the back side here. And let's see if we can get a better view for you guys. There you go, and you can see the bolts. 1, 2, and then 3 4s on the other side. And those are just 50 mil nut. And then the whole bearing should just come out. So that's it. So I'm gonna take the gun now. I'm gonna loosen up the center bolt. Tight. So what we're going to do, let's spin it back on and let's put some penetrating fluid on it. You can actually see there where it's cleaned the threads. I did put WD-40 on it, but let's give it another squirt. Like butter. And now we have a tool we can put in here just to push that in, because that's pretty tight. Okay, there you can see we've added the tool there. So all it is, it's going to push the axle through here, because you'll find the axle's really tight. So if you take the center nut off, take everything off as we did, you're going to find the axle is really tight in the bearing. So if you put a chisel or something in there, a lot of times you can't get this off without really beating it, and then you have a chance of damaging it. So what we do is we put, there we go, there's another tool, just depending on how your studs are for your wheel studs there. This one fits better, so we put this one on, and then it's just got a center press screw, just like that. And then as soon as we drive this in a little bit, it's just going to push that in, and it's just going to loosen it up. So we can just go like this, and we're gonna just like that. And I don't know if you can see there, but the threads will. There we go, and she is moving in. So that's good. So I'm just gonna push the rest. You can see how absolutely tight that is. So anyway, this tool is a huge help. It saves you from beating the crap out of it. Okay, so I've taken out the 4 bolts. You can actually see 1, 2, and then there's 2 on the bottom. Here's what they look like. I think earlier in the video I said they were 15 mil. They're actually 17. So you can see, actually it's quite dark there. Let's see if we can get the light back there. And there you can see there's 1 bolt right there. So that one's just hitting the clamp there. So we can just leave it there, that's fine for it to all come out. So now, when we use the tool to push on this a bit more, it should break away from the hub, and if it doesn't break away from the hub, what we'll do is we'll use a chisel in there and we'll just separate it. Everything should be free now. And there you can see we got all the bolts out, everything's there. I actually had to use a little bit of force there, just with a chisel and just in there, just to loosen up, take it out because there's so much rust. So now we can just sort of, there we go, we'll just take it off. And here is the old bearing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to clean up this area with a wire wheel, clean it up a little bit. Notice there's an ABS sensor right there. If you look inside here, you'll see it's still, you don't need to remove it. There you go, it's still there. And it's not broken, so you just got to be careful not to have the axle knock it and crack it or break it, or you'll be replacing it. Oh, okay, now you can see I got the new bearing there. So line it up, so we're going to get all bolts there, you can see. So we got 4 bolt holes in total. Now we'll just be threading them in from the rear by hand, and these ones with the 17 mil, you just got to wrench them in by hand. Okay, so I've got the bolts in there, 1, 2, and then there's the 2 on the bottom, 3, 4. I've zapped that on with the impact gun. What I did, just to try to get it to close to torque, is you can see there where there's a mark. I don't know if I can zoom in there. Oh yeah, there you go, right there. You can see where I staked it. So that should line up with the center. So you see I got a little bit more to go. So what I'll do is I'll put the impact gun on and I'll just keep going until I'm right around there. Now the impact gun stopped there, and with the pressure that I'm running the impact gun at, I can tell that's pretty tight already. So to move it just up there, we'll be right around where it should be. And I think the recommended torque is close to 200 foot-pounds. I think it's 171 foot-pounds or something like that. So don't quote me on that, but most of these wheel nuts are all going to be between 150 and 250. That's where most of them fall anyway. But so I'll get that done, and then we got our 2 caliper bolts here, and those will mount our caliper back. We're going to put new brake pads in there. And then we have our 14 mil, which will hold the caliper back on. We got a new rotor to pop on there as well.